Alright, let's get ready for reinstallation. While I had all that other stuff down, I actually took all the cases and soaked them in a degreaser and scrubbed them down real good. And then I washed them with soap and water, and then I used a wax and grease remover. And then I sprayed them with VHT engine enamel. This goes good up to 550 degrees, or which should be good. And this is a universal aluminum. I really like the color. So I got all those prepped and cleaned up. Those are ready to go. And so we're about ready for putting all this stuff back together. Okay, here's our new reverse idler gear going on the old shaft. This little slot's got to go on this end. So put it through there a little bit. Alright, now we're going to install the bearing retainer plate, and it's got a little tab that's going to hold that reverse idler gear shaft in place. You got to make sure you get that lined up right. Alright, we're ready to install the shift rails. We're going to start with the reverse shift rail. We need to install this locking pin inside the rail. If you put a little Vaseline on it, it'll stay in place. It goes in this little hole. Do that. Move this rail a little bit. And it goes in the second hole from the bottom. Yep. Next, we're going to secure that with its little C-ring, C-clip. Next, we're going to put on our 1 and 2 shift forks. 3 and 4. Like this. Okay, next I gotta install, this is the reverse lock ball. It goes on the bottom side of the reverse shift fork. Coat it with petroleum jelly to get it to, and we're gonna come from the back side here. Okay. I'm gonna seal that in with a little more petroleum jelly. Alright, next we're going to install the first second shift fork interlock plug, which goes between the reverse shift rail and the first and second shift rail. So it goes between here and this little area here. There's a little section. We're going to lube it up with some jelly. Use this. Get it in place. Alright, next we got the first and second shift rail. I'm going to kind of just get it coated with some petroleum jelly. And then we have the interlock pin. We want to it's going to go right in there. We're going to install this in this hole right here. You're going to have to get this rail just right. Alright, we're going to go through first, second shift fork, but not through the third, fourth. Okay, next we're going to install the third, fourth interlock plug. It goes between the first, second shift rail and the third, fourth shift rail. We're going to drop it in place. Lubricate it up a little bit. This really helps to put the flat side of that on that, because it gets it in the right orientation. Stick it in there and then we can drop it in place. Yep. Alright, now there's the third, fourth shift rail. So we got here. I'm going to line up that hole there because that means it's in the right position. Let's see if that helps me out. Nope. Here we go. It goes through here and through here. line that up. Now, the last thing I want to do, and this is that part that the book doesn't talk about, and that's the very top detent ball. I'm going to drop it from the top, put the spring in, put that cap in. No need for lubricating, but I'm going to lubricate it. Okay. Alright, I look at my parts bin, I got no spare parts, no pins, plugs, that type of stuff, so I've got them all installed. And again, those basically are used to make sure this thing doesn't go into 2 gears at one time, is what those purposes are. So let's continue on. We got some more clips to put on this back side. Nope, actually they go right here. I got 2 clips to go right there. Okay, we're going to install, this is the 5th gear shift rail. Going to lube it up. And then I've had to push this thing all the way that way, so go through here. Through there. And they want it just protruding to here and then to stop to hold that lock ball that we put in there earlier. So we're going to let that sit just like that for a little bit. Okay, this has got 2 springs there. And then these dogs, they're shaped a little differently. Make sure they go like that. That side out. Okay. Alright, we're going to install the thrush washer ball. It's going to be easier to do this. and our thrush washer. This side toward the end, and get the ball in that little slot. Okay. And here's our new 5th gear. This is the 5th idler gear. That's perfect. Alright, now we're going to put this reverse shift head on, and we're going to remember there's a ball that goes in between the rails that go in here. I'm going to stick it on here. Let's lube it up a little bit. Okay. Here's the ball. Yeah, push this in far enough, there's a groove on the bottom side of that ball will protrude into, and now we got that there. So now we're ready to pull this. Now before we go all the way, we need to go put our shift fork on, rotate it up. Alright, I got a quick note about orientation. This 5th gear shift rail, it's just a rod. It has no arm built onto it, so orientation is a little hard to determine. But as you slide it in, the only thing that does determine it is this is where it attaches to the shift fork. But the problem is it could be this way or it could be 180 degrees out. You could still mount it, right? So the way you know it's the right orientation is if you'll see a slot right here, and that slot, there's 2 more slots on this shaft in this location, is where this detent ball is going to jump down into that slot to maintain it in 5th gear. So make sure this slot's facing out and not on the back side, otherwise you got it 180 degrees out. Now we're ready for our detents. Ball 1, 2, 3, spring. Alright, with just these 4 bolts tied, just snug, I'm going to let it set, and then I'll snug it down and torque it. Okay, we're going to put this last detent ball and spring in this little pocket right here. There's the ball and the spring. Okay, so this little section is going to be a little new to me because when I bought the transmission, remember it was used. The guy took it apart to see what was wrong with it, the reverse idler gear, and when he put it all back together, he did not put this part back together. He actually sent it to me in a plastic bag, but I'm pretty sure I understand how it works. Here's this is the shift arm. It's going to go in here like this, and I've lubricated this with some Vaseline. And before I put this adapter housing on, I made sure that that the transmission's in neutral. Therefore, all these shift lever arms are actually aligned up, and this will slide right in. But it drops in, and there. That should be it. And then this pin has got a hole in one side and not one in the other. The diagram clearly shows the hole is to this back side, so I'm going to do like that. I put a little bit of oil on here to make this slippery. Push that in until these holes line up. And this bolt goes in. I'm going to put a cap on this end here. Alright. We got two restrictor pins going either side of that. Okay. Alright, let's talk about this next piece. There's a gasket that goes around here. My gasket looks a little different. I've not ever seen one with this metal piece in the middle, but this will go in here like this. Any liquid that comes here will drop and go off to the side. But we use that as our gasket between the thing. The interesting thing is how all this works. So here's our shift lever, and the gasket kit came with a new end, so I put the new end on ready, and that's going to slide down in our shift arm, and that's what's going to make this thing go left and right and forward and back and put it in all the gears. It pivots on this half spherical piece, which has got two large slots in it. Those two large slots sit inside these pins right here. And to get this shift lever off, if you want to take your shift lever off, this spring-loaded cap, not only does this slide down over those pins, but this spring-loaded cap will slide down and then rotate and lock onto those pins, and that's what keeps this whole unit anchored into this top. So to get this off, you're gonna push down further, rotate over, and then let that off. That's how, and then this thing should pull right out. That's how you disassemble that piece. So we're gonna. I don't know if I'm going to put some silicone on there. really shouldn't have just but a little splash here and there. But anyway, we're gonna get this mounted. It'll actually go on this direction, and then we'll get the shift thing, and then we'll do some trial shifts, make sure it shifts smoothly. Alright, right before we install this reverse switch, I was going to just test it for continuity. It's a normally open circuit, and then if you put it in reverse, it basically pushes against this and makes the contact, which gives us continuity. So the switch works. We're going to install it. It goes in this hole right here, and then we'll hook it back up, and as we put it in reverse, we'll see if it comes on, see if that lever arm is activating or pushing, depressing this ball. See if that works. Alright, let's give it a trial run. Right now it's in neutral. If I push it over and up, that's first gear. Turn that, and that turns slow into the second gear. That turns good. If I put it back in neutral, I can hold this still. Doesn't rotate. It's third gear. Fourth gear. That's spinning faster. Over and up is fifth gear. Even that's going to be overdrive. Now it's really spinning fast. And then he'll be reverse. And now it spins the opposite direction. And this switch got triggered, therefore it's giving me a signal there, and that's what's going to turn on your reverse lights. But now it's spinning the opposite direction. It really shifts really nice. So I think that is completely done. Now I'm going to package this thing up, and it's got to be put on the shelf for a little while until I'm ready to start considering anything for the install into Rowdy, as well as I've got an adapter I got to buy for this transmission, and then a bell housing that'll connect this to my Gen 3 motor. So pretty cool. That was actually kind of an easy project. I really enjoyed it. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not a transmission expert. This is the first time I've ever opened a transmission, but I read enough about it, thought it sounded pretty simple. For those that are transmission specialists, I got a pretty good appreciation for your business. This was not too difficult, as long as you kind of follow the directions and have a pretty good understanding how certain things work. Really neat. I enjoyed it.
Jack it up.